All right, welcome back to another episode of the Ricky Henderson podcast, the greatest of all podcasts, the GOAP. We are just flying, just the two of us today. It's your co-host Alex Espinoza with my co-host Dr. Hal Gordon,
Hot dog.
and it is Sunday morning. Happy Easter to those who observe. Um, I just had some beautiful breakfast burritos, so I'm feeling good. But Hal, we got a lot to talk about on Sundays. It's semi-emergency pod because Casey Pratt dropped some sweet nuggets yesterday about 7 o'clock. He shared some details about Oakland's proposal with excuse me, with the Athletics. On Tuesday, they're meeting to negotiate possible lease terms for 2025 and beyond. Because as we all know, this is their last season in Oakland. Um, yeah, we're going to be talking about Sacramento rumors. We're going to recap the boycott, but first we got to talk about this info from Casey. Hal, there's a lot of info. You want to give the people a rundown of kind of the main talking points and where things where things stand, heading into Tuesday's meeting.
Yeah, sure. I'm actually in the East Coast this week. I'm in my sister's basement in DC. I'm always here. It seems like the last time I was here potting was April of a year ago when we said it's over. That when the A's said it's over, we have binding agreement with Vegas. So,
And then June we said it was
it's
over. October we said it was
God.
over, and
And there was,
here we are.
and we'll talk about Sacramento, but when I saw Sacramento news, I thought it's over. So I always think it's over, and it's always maybe not over. One day it'll be over. But yeah. So Casey had the sort of inside scoop from the mayor's office, along with Tim Keon. Darn it,
Ken,
sorry, Tim. Yeah, Keon
Ken.
at ESPN.
Yeah.
The A's and Oakland are meeting on Tuesday, and the Oakland's basically demands for an extension of the lease are a 5-year lease with an opt-out option after the third year. So it's the A's say they only need 3 years. It may they still don't have shovels in the ground, but I don't really know how long it'll take them to build there. But they might need an extra year. Remember, the Raiders needed an extra year.
Yeah, so I mean, the
So
A's are still living under the scenario they could open up opening day 2028. So they just need, yeah, 2025, 6 and 7 at the Coliseum.
I mean,
but I don't see it. I mean, there's yeah.
it's it's definitely possible, right? It's definitely possible, but like who knows? Okay, so Oakland's saying give us 5 years, and so at that rate, they it's approximately $19 million a year. Right now, the A's are paying $1.5 million.
Uh,
Now, from the reporting, it seems like Oakland is asking for all that money up front. So, that'd be like almost $100 million up front.
97 million, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then the A's can, if they opt out after 3 years, I don't know if they get money back. Who knows? It's a negotiation. They want them to sell their Coliseum stake. I think at this point, whatever. I think that everyone wants to move on. I think that the A's want to do that as well because the A's need that cash money to build in Vegas because no one else is giving them money. So fine. And then the most intriguing part, and the one that's unclear, I think, to all of us, is it grant Oakland one exclusive year to line up owners for expansion. I'm
Yeah.
not sure anybody really knows what that means. I assume, this is me now making a bunch of assumptions here, that that they have talked to people, that they've at least, you know, talked to governors, they've potentially talked to Major League Baseball, and they've certainly been talking to more than one ownership group. And so I assume what this is like baseball and the A's have said, we cannot guarantee you anything. We're not even talking about expansion. So I think what this is you're going to agree to talk to us about expansion for a year. We will find the best owners and send them your way. And, you won't negotiate against them with, Utah or Nashville or whatever. And then everyone's hoping that everyone can get to an agreement after a year.
And that's
Uh,
also for an expansion team. That's not like,
yeah, so this would definitely be
that's for this
expansion
first
team.
of all, yeah. I mean, this is like, yeah. I mean, yeah, this is for like a hypothetical thing that, dude, I don't know. Like,
The other two things about this final bullet point, this 1 year exclusive deal, I think everyone's talking about that, but it also seems like Oakland's giving them two other options instead of that. So another option, which is what I think everybody would prefer, is just facilitate the sale of the A's to a new group. Obviously, the A's don't want that, so whatever. But then there's also the A's leave the name and colors in Oakland.
yeah.
I'm I'm just like not as big of a fan of that. I think I'd rather be a Baltimore Ravens fan, who lost their
Nah,
team colors
no
and
way,
names.
dude. Look how beautiful this
Than
color. Look, you can't be leaving these beautiful colors, this yellow and the green,
I'd
dude.
rather be a Baltimore Ravens fan than a Seattle Supersonics fan, right? The Seattle basketball teams, they still have their colors and their team name, but they don't have a team. So I don't know. I think priority one should be a team. But I do understand that you love those colors, and they are great
Well,
colors.
also I see a star. It says or Oakland keeps this name in color or facilitate sale to a new group. So I don't know if that's like a hard bargain, hard part, but honestly, I think they should leave it here and keep the history, the records, and everything here, and then they can just do an expansion in Vegas with Fisher, and then Vegas would feel more of an identity with that. Maybe, yeah, they would be stuck with Fisher, but they could have their own brand, their own colors, their own thing over there in Vegas. Yeah, but
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think everyone's on the same page with you there, Alex. And I don't really know what Vegas fans are. One of these days we should find some Vegas fans and bring them on.
no, I was
Because
thinking,
I think,
yeah,
but I don't really know what people in Vegas feel like. I think that um, they probably feel a little bit of column A and column B, but uh, I think clearly that the most intriguing part of this offer is this 1 year exclusivity to line up an expansion team. Um, my guess here, and now everyone should remember that this is going to be Tuesday is when they're going to come to the negotiating table. I think we'll hear a lot more about that by Tuesday, or maybe maybe Dave Cavill will pull a Cavill special on Monday and just leak. We're going to Sacramento no matter what. Uh, but yeah, I think that that's the intriguing part to A's fans. What do you think, Alex? Do you think Major League Baseball wants to keep a team in Oakland,
I
given
actually
the opportunity?
I don't think so. I'm just judging from what Rob Manfred says. I don't think first of all, I don't think he fully understands the situation, nor does he care to understand the situation here. All he sees is the attendance numbers, and you know, I mean, the comments from the reverse boycott is like, oh wow, they had an average crowd. Like that was, like once he said that, I was just like, yeah. He said some other stuff throughout this whole process. Like he really doesn't
Yeah.
care. He seems pretty callous, and I mean, I was just looking at video. I mean, yeah, I went back and was just looking at videos of the boycott on Thursday, and it's just I do love how diverse the crowd is.
Yeah.
I don't know how many other cities are like that in MLB. I
Yeah.
mean, I would have to, go obviously New York and the big cities are LA. It's pretty diverse, but a lot of these towns like it doesn't look like that in Oakland. It doesn't feel like that in Oakland.
There's a
And
lot of diversity in the cities, but maybe not in the fan base.
yeah.
I used to vend here in Washington, and it's a very diverse city. A lot of immigrants from all over the world, a lot of Salvadorians, and a huge portion of the city is African American and always has been. But the people at Nationals games are not that diverse. It's a lot of white people
I mean,
and
honestly,
and
I think it is
A's
skewed more
fan
white and
groups.
less black at Oakland games as like
Yeah,
compared to the population
just
as well,
across
for
Major League
sure.
Baseball, definitely.
Yeah.
But A's, I think A's in particular, their fan bases are really diverse. So, you
Because
know,
we got
uh,
everything in between black and white. Like there's like this
that's
whole
right.
diaspora of brown people too, we
That's
got
right,
all
baby.
them. Yeah.
We got all the issues.
Yeah. Um,
Uh,
but yeah,
um,
then selling the call. So so Casey was saying that, if they pay this, and also another interesting nugget I saw too, or from the ESPN article is like this $97 million you're talking about is like the shortfall. The city is saying this is the shortfall that Fisher walked away from on the multi-billion-dollar Howard Terminal project. That's what ESPN is reporting.
that's
So
how they
this is
came to
like,
that
hey,
number, huh?
so yeah, that's why we want this money now because this is what we would have had if you did this. So it's like, or if you paid this, then we could have made this deal. So it's almost like it's like I don't know, not petty, but it's like, dude, just get just get this thing done. I don't know. Yeah,
I think that that's right. I think, yeah. Then, so from the ESPN, the 97 million, the shortfall the city says Fisher walked away from on the multi-billion-dollar Howard Terminal project. I don't really
said the
understand
city needs
that.
the A's to help Oakland's $170 million general fund deficit.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know. I
So we
mean,
should
yeah,
say this, like those who are not also following non-A's Oakland politics. Oakland has a big shortfall in funds in the general fund. Um, Me personally, I think this is another uh, terrible result of Prop 13 and the inability for local cities in California to actually tax property taxes, but whatever. But they need money, and Mayor Powell is under threat of a new uh, recall, which is which I think is largely being funded by uh, concerns over public safety. So they want to get a big pot of money upfront that they can then use for public safety spending. Mayor Tao doesn't really care about, well, I shouldn't say that she doesn't care, but she much would prefer to have money now than later, when potentially after she's lost a recall. So, so I think that's the politics underlying there. They've said that $97 million is non-negotiable. I cannot imagine that. To me, that seems like the part that you negotiate around, right? Like, to me, what you're saying is like, okay, just get rid of this land, uh, so we can develop the Coliseum. Um, and let us try and figure out an expansion team. And then, the thing you negotiate around is this money. Um,
and the Coliseum's worth like what, like 130 to 150 million right now or something like, or
Something
they're
like
half of
they're
it, right?
half.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
It's like because supposedly they turned down 115, I believe I saw from
yeah,
from AASEG last year, and they're negotiating that as well, right? I think
yeah.
they're negotiating that as well, right? Like,
The other part I don't think we said was that they'd also expect the A's to pay for all the conversion
yes,
costs
yeah, that's
to
something.
convert the stadium back and forth from baseball to soccer for the Roots.
I
So
don't, yeah,
it's
I mean,
another
Fisher's not doing
expensive.
that. Fisher's not going to be converting, especially when he owns like, Town FC and Bay FC. Bay FC actually just
Well,
had their first game.
he
Yeah.
doesn't own Town FC. He's like in,
Or,
it's sort of, I like, just like how like the A's don't own the River Cats, but yeah. Um,
yeah.
I think, uh, or
He
sorry, the
he
ports,
doesn't own Bay
Stockton
FC
ports.
either. He doesn't own Bay FC either, but he
He doesn't own that either. So,
they play at his stadium. Yeah.
boy, I think that $97 million is a lot to ask for, you know, uh, considering, and we'll talk about it soon, considering that the A's also have an offer at Sacramento. But if they can get
Do they have an offer
half
in
of that,
Sacramento, or I thought it was just talking? I thought they were
I
talking
don't
to. I
know.
thought
Who
Vivex
knows?
just had a cheery. I didn't know there was an offer.
We
I don't
don't
know.
know what's happening in Sacramento. I'm clearly the A's. I think clearly the A's want everyone to think that they have an offer done in Sacramento.
Yeah.
So I mean, listen, uh, I think this, ex I'm skeptical that this 1 year sort of expansion window would definitely result in the team. So what I've heard is that they definitely have, and I think people who follow Casey have also heard that the city definitely has one or more ownership groups who are very serious about an expansion team, buying an expansion team. That's great. That is the one, I think, the biggest advantage that the Bay Area has over all these other areas is that there's more, for better for worse, there are more billionaires in the Bay Area than probably anywhere on earth. So there's a lot of idiots who have too much money and don't know what to do with it and think that they are better than all their other billionaire friends, and want to show them. So that's great. I think I think there are things pushing against this, right? One is that MLB wants to show that cities that don't publicly fund stadiums get punished,
Yeah.
right? And so this doesn't show that. To uh, you know, Rob Manfred, you mentioned Rob Manfred has said some bad things about Oakland, especially after the reverse boycott. He also said recently, "Oh, it's not like people in the East Bay won't be able to go see a team." You know, I think Major League Baseball is happy to have one team in the Bay.
Yeah.
This it doesn't expand their footprint, their television footprint, or their marketing footprint. Where you move to Utah, you move to Tennessee, that's a new market. So it's not a new market for them. Uh, and three, I think that any expand they want to sort of along the lines of keeping threats, they want any expansion team to come with uh the a $500 million at least in public money. And I think I bet I'm assuming, I'm hoping that Oakland has found some expansion owners who say, we'll build the stadium ourselves. We don't need your public funding. But Major League Baseball may reject that because they don't want to set precedents or, of owners buying their own stadiums. So even if we get that 1 year expansion
Well, they've done, I mean, the Giants
window,
did it. The Giants completely privately financed their thing. I mean, I think I don't think if somebody said they had all the money, I don't think MLB is going to be like, no. I think they would take it. Like if Joe Lacob was like, dude, I'll pay for this whole thing. I don't think MLB would say no. I don't think
well,
they would. Yeah.
maybe, like maybe. My worry is that if you're the owner of the Diamondbacks or you're the owner of the Royals, and you're saying we need
Yeah.
$1 billion from you schlubs to build our stadium, or we're leaving, the same year that MLB agrees to let an expansion team in Oakland that doesn't get any money from Oakland, then Phoenix or Kansas City will say, hey, you know, why don't you do the same thing that the new Oakland owners are doing? I don't know. I'm
Yeah.
I'm just really I've just been burned so many times, Alex, by these jokers. I sort of I'm nervous to allow myself to dream, but there's definitely a lot of hopium today that there wasn't 24 hours ago.
I don't know, man. I'm not sharing I'm not sharing the opt I just feel like this is obviously this is a negotiation. And I'm kind of surprised that Oakland did this. I remember they were saying they were like, "Oh, we're going to negotiate in private. We're not going to negotiate in public." So that's a little different. But I feel like this is like the dream scenario for Oakland. And in the ESPN article, they were saying the A's counter with 2 years, $17 million for the stadium lease. So there's a difference of $80 million in 3 years that we're talking about here. It's like I to see this deal that Casey proposed on Twitter, and I have to say there's no way in hell the A's ever accept anything close to this. Just me like Fisher
Agree.
Fisher has a history of not making a deal. Like he's always looking for this perfect deal that doesn't exist. And what I'm reading here is it seems I don't know. It seems like a good deal for Oakland to me. And if it's a good deal for Oakland, then John Fisher's gonna hate it. So
Yeah, I think listen, I think that no matter what happens, uh Oakland ain't gonna get this $97 million dollars. I think that they're dreaming. Um
and they say it's non-negotiable, but dude, of course it's negotiable.
it's
Like,
gotta be it's gotta be negotiable. I mean, as an A's fan, I would love, you know, I would love that $30 million, like maybe $30 million for 3 or 4 years, plus this expansion chance, because I just want I just want the chance to exist. You go to Sacramento,
wow,
the
that's so deep,
chances are
bro.
really low.
I just want the chance to exist, bro.
I just give me a little bit more of that hope.
No,
You got any of that hope? Got any
no.
of that hope, bro?
Well,
But
but also like this exclusivity thing. Like, okay, so say they didn't have exclusivity, would that mean MLB would have free reign to negotiate who the next owner of this team would be without the say of Oakland? Like, I don't understand.
it's
I don't even understand what like who else would do that? Like, I don't know,
It's really, really good question, Alex, because MLB has said that they're probably not going to talk about expansion for another 4 years anyway. So, what does that exclusivity mean? My guess is that the important part is you are going to listen to us. For 1 year, you agree to meet with us, basically. So we're going to, if you agree to this next week, two or three groups are going to announce that they are interested in doing this. The Oakland, this is, I don't know if this is how it will go, but this is one way it could go. Oakland will then make an agreement with one of those groups that, yeah, you can build at Howard Terminal. We have it all set. And then they can say, listen, we just created this agreement with this group, this
Mhm.
billionaire, uh, Oakland, something that never happened with the A's and John Fisher, or sorry, with John Fisher and Oakland, where they actually were on the same page and agreed. I think what Oakland is saying is we have people who are on our same page and will agree to us, and will agree to terms, and we'll have terms agreed, set out, agreed, written in stone. And then for the next 9 months, you have to talk to this group, and tell them why they can't get. And I think that the hope then is that baseball will have a hard time saying no to an expansion group that has an agreement with Oakland for a team after they've said we'll negotiate with you for a year, right? Like the, what I'm describing to you seems to already exist in places like Nashville. I'm not exactly sure, but definitely seems to already exist in Utah. They already passed a law in the state of Utah with a particular ownership group. So uh, I, it doesn't. I don't really understand it. The benefit of the doubt I'm giving Oakland here is that they've done their research, they've talked to people, and they've figured out that this is the thing that MLB might be able to agree to. It would get them somewhere. So I don't know. We'll find out on Tuesday, but
Yeah.
maybe, maybe not.
Well, another part of this we were talking about is like expansion, right? Or before they even get there, there's still situations within the league they have to figure out, right? Like the White Sox, like what was the other ones? It was the Brewers, yeah. The
I think the Brewers are taken care of, but definitely it's Kansas City, the White Sox, and
oh
Phoenix
yeah, Phoenix. Yeah,
that
their
are
owner's taking he's taking a page out of Fisher's playbook, saying, "Hey, if we don't get this funding, we're out of here. We're gonna look
they
for."
won a freaking pennant last year. And Phoenix is such a big market that they have all to themselves, and it's a growing market. No
And they
one
already
believes that
have a World Series. Like I don't know, like
you
the
would
fact that they
you
have
would
a
have
World, like
Phoenix should be, I can imagine the White Sox leaving because, the Chicago is owned by the Cubs basically. In the
dude,
same
I
way
can't
that
imagine that.
the Giants own the Bay Area.
I love two market cities, man. I think it's great for the game. I think it's
It is
awesome.
great for the game, but it's not great for
If
baseball owners who don't want to have to compete.
if you're the
They
little
want to
brother,
have a
yeah. If you're the little
monopoly.
brother, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So but I can't believe they're going to leave Phoenix. But anyway, um, I think, yeah, yeah. I mean, any expansion team would still be maybe a 5 to 6 to maybe even a decade away anyway. But it's that
I'm
maybe
just skeptical that
Oakland could
MLB
get
is.
something, in ink that says in 8 years we'll have a team. So I don't know.
Yeah, I just don't think MLB would want to tie itself contractually to Oakland. Like, I think they would want to be like, yo, if we have a better deal in Nashville or if we have a better deal in Portland, like we're gonna go, or So I don't think
Yes.
because they already see what it's like, and I mean, I don't know. I mean, I really don't think Manfred cares about these protests. I wish he would. I wish he would get the message that, hey, these fans are passionate and they care, but I don't. I think he just looks at his thing. Sees through the first three games that Oakland has 22,000 fans in three games, and he's probably like, you know what? It's time to leave.
I think
And
everyone sort of understands that this is, you know,
yeah,
what the situation is by now. But yeah, I think what they look at is 2019 when the A's won 97 games before, we still had A's access. No one was really talking about going to Vegas. They're just like, there's little rumblings, but not really. And the A's were still 26th in attendance, winning 97 games. I think that's what they're looking at. They're not really looking at now. But I mean, the Coliseum was a dump then. It's a dump now, and it was a dump then. I don't know. I
yeah,
don't know,
that's
guys.
what
I,
they
I
say
mean, I
about
think
it.
that they also think that these other cities are much more likely to grow, where there's not a lot of new building occurring in the Bay Area. Housing costs are out of control, and there's no way for new people to move there. But there is a lot of building of new housing in places like Utah and Nashville. Less so Portland, but Austin.
Yeah.
Austin, there's a lot of new building. Austin's becoming huge because they're allowing new building to occur. So I think that the deck is
What about
still
Sacramento? Sacramento's got room to grow, or what?
Sacramento is built. Actually, Sacramento is the only place in
Yeah.
California that's growing. So let's
Yeah,
talk
I
about
think people are
Sacramento,
coming
right?
up from the Bay, right? Like people are, yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
people are
yeah,
moving to Sacramento.
yeah,
Is Are the A's going to have to move there for 3 years? So that was the big story 2 days ago, right,
yeah,
Alex?
yeah. That was, well, I mean, we talked about it on a couple, yeah, earlier this week on the pod. It was Carmichael Dave was the first one. He's a radio personality up there in Sacramento, kind of getting the rumor mill going. And then John Shea and Scott Osler co-published an article in the Chronicle, really talking about Sacramento. And for me, the timing just seems like somebody from the A's camp, you know, talked to some people in Sacramento and they got a hold of it. But it just seems like an A's negotiating tactic, just some leverage going into Tuesday's meeting for me. Just as a cynic right now, I just feel like because we also talked to Jared Isham, from Summer of Cell documentary. He was saying whenever you heard stuff rumblings from Sacramento, it always coming from one source. So, which makes me think it's coming from an A source who's kind of ruffling feathers in Sacramento. Um, so yeah, they're
It does seem
saying
like
so yeah, they're talking
this
about going up to Sutter Health Field, formerly Rayleigh Field, the home of the River Cats, for 3 years.
Rob Manfred said, recently, I'm not in a position to tell you exactly what the answer is, but they've made great progress on that issue, talking about the A's temporary home. So, it doesn't seem like they made great progress with Oakland, right? Because the negotiation still hasn't happened yet. But if they've made great progress with Sacramento, the John Fisher is friends with Vivek, who's the owner of the Kings
Mhm.
and the River Cats.
I don't know. Does he own the River Cats too? I didn't
Is
know that.
he the owner of the? We're a really well sourced podcast
No, I
here,
mean
guys.
I know he owns the. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, he did in 2022. He did. Yeah, I didn't realize that.
Yeah. So they're good friends. They don't have to change RSN, so it'd still be on Comcast or what is it, NBC Sports California.
Mhm.
Everyone assumes that they would get much less money. I don't sort of, it seems like if I was Comcast Sportsnet or whatever, or if I was NBC California, I'd be like, yeah, instead of $61 million a year, how's $5 million a
No,
year sound?
67. Yeah, 67.
Yeah,
Yeah.
67. Yeah. So like, uh, um, it's I don't, I don't really understand how they would make. I mean, if they had to pay $97 million to stay in Oakland, I can understand how they would make more money in Sacramento, but I don't really understand how they would do that. And, it would definitely be more difficult to move to Sacramento and, have to share that stadium with the River Cats and have to, change, they'd have to spend a lot of money making a new building, probably a temporary clubhouse for the union to agree to it and stuff. So, Sacramento still is more complicated than Oakland, but I think the A's are clearly saying to Oakland, you don't have as much leverage as you think you do. So I don't
Yeah.
know,
It seems the
and I don't
timing of
know.
this seems fishy to me heading into Tuesday's meeting. I think this got leaked, last week, so we got time to go in the news cycle. And so Oakland people hear about going into the meeting. That's what I think. I mean, I don't think it's any coincidence that this information is coming out now, you know. But
It's not a coincidence, but like, but
the parallel
I think
paths, parallel paths
it's parallel
part four.
paths. And so,
Yeah.
does Oakland want to lose parallel paths again? So, uh, even if the A's move to Sacramento, I think it's not necessarily over. There's ways to still mess with the Nevada move, but I think that interest in continuing to fight will continue to dwindle. But I I think clearly the only I think there are two paths that I still see to keeping the A's. One path is this negotiation with MLB for an expansion team. And if the A's go to Sacramento, that path is fully closed off. So that would be very bad.
But
Uh,
even if, I
the,
mean, if they're only in Sacramento for 3 years and the expansion team would take 5, 7 years, like what do you mean that that path would be closed off? I don't understand. Like,
well, so I think the only way that Oakland can get an expansion team is
oh,
by
if they, yeah, they stay
packaging
here.
it in
Yeah,
the lease extension.
I
And
hear
so
you.
if they go to Sacramento, then Oakland doesn't have any leverage left, right? They don't
Yeah.
have anything to package. So MLB would say something like, sure. At that point, MLB would say, Oakland, you can stand in line with Montreal and Portland and Salt Lake and Nashville. And for all the reasons we already sort of talked about, I think that Oakland is going to be behind Orlando.
Yeah.
They're going to be 10th in line, and there's only going to be two spots. So I see that being not really a possibility.
Yeah.
The other possibility is it blows up in Nevada, and honestly, even if they move to Sacramento and it blows up in Nevada, like it's not a complete loss. I think for Oakland fans, they might end up coming back to Oakland after a few years in Sacramento if they get sold. And even if they stay in this might offend a lot of people, but I think if they end up staying full time in Sacramento as the Sacramento A's, it's drivable from Oakland, but it's not it's not the end of the world, but yeah, I might offend a lot of people by saying that. Uh but like let's talk about Nevada. So we had the boycott.
Well, I think,
We'll talk
well,
about
I want to talk about Sacramento still. Like,
oh yeah, sure.
I
Sorry.
still don't think like, I just don't think them moving to a small ballpark is sustainable, like no matter where it is. Like because like I'm looking, the capacity is 10,600. And it's like, yeah, that's probably more than their average crowd now, but at least they would have, like,
I think 10,600 will be higher than what they averaged this season at
but
the
even those
Coliseum.
like
So,
random, 15, 20,000 games that the A's get whenever the Yankees or the Red Sox are in town now, like, those are huge. Like the fact that it's capped
yeah.
at 10-6 is brutal. And it's like, there's no way in hell, I think I've said this before, like, they're in this thing for 3 years, their revenue's cut short for 3 years. No way in hell they're spending money whenever they get to the next spot. you know.
I think that they're hoping that excitement over having an MLB team in Sacramento will be high, um, even if it's only for 3 years. I'm sort of trying to make the devil's advocate argument for
I mean,
you
because
here,
think
but
about it,
like,
even if you sell out every single game for
yeah,
80 games, it's like you're capped at like around eight something, 800
well,
something
maybe
thousand. And
you
it's
could
like,
probably build, you'll probably be able to build some temporary stands somewhere. So maybe you get up to 15, maybe you get up to 13 or 15. Um, maybe, yeah. I mean,
I mean, yeah,
I
last year
think,
they averaged 10,276. So they would be pretty much, that's like a sellout at Sutter Park pretty much every game. And it came out to 832,000 people. So,
it's clear, Alex, it's clear that the better, the better option. Well, I don't really have access to their books, so maybe it's not clear, but I think we tend to think it's clear that the better financial option for the A's would be um, Oakland for the next few years, right? They don't have to move anything.
yeah,
Um,
I'm gonna get the TV
but
money.
but if Oakland is demanding $97 million up front,
Yeah.
and then maybe that's not the better option. And also, if Major League Baseball won't agree to this 1 year, I think the big question is that 1 year exclusive agreement something Major League Baseball can agree to? If they can't agree to that, then it's Sacramento. If they can't agree to that, then the question is, does can Oakland actually negotiate that $97 million number? Because I don't think that the A's will ever pay anything in that region, but you never know.
Yeah, and I want to talk to Casey too about that because he's calling it about $19.4 million a year over 4 year or 5 years, and Tim Count is saying $97 million extension fee. So I think we were saying it's kind of they're talking about the same thing. I don't know if the
Yeah.
lease and the extension fee would just be stretched out over 5 years, and I don't know if
Well,
that's
yeah,
like
I think what Oakland, what the mayor wants is the money now, right? The mayor needs that money now to
yeah,
try
yeah,
and spend it on uh, violence prevention or public safety stuff.
yeah,
Um, and yeah, so that's going to be another thing, right? I bet the A's would want to say, well, we'll pay you each year. We don't want to pay you now. But that'll be a negotiation. What it sounds like is that whatever the deal is in Sacramento is on the table and agreed to. So, you know, it's gonna be a tight negotiation, maybe.
yeah.
If it's not tight, I think it means that the A's are just gonna say, never mind, we're just going to Sacramento. We don't know. We don't know. We just don't know what it's everyone seems to think that they'd make a lot more money staying in Oakland, but like maybe they've decided we'd make a lot more money selling $10,000, 12,000 seats a game every night in Sacramento without a good TV offer. And we also don't know what, NBC Sports California is offering them.
Yeah.
We just don't know. You know, maybe
Dude, the
maybe they're
ratings got to be
offering
so low, you know. It's like
the ratings got to be so low. The
yeah,
ratings got to be so low, but maybe and I have no idea. Maybe this is some agreement that says, okay, we'll take a hair. We'll only pay you $40 million a year in Sacramento, but then you agree that we get the rights when you move to Las Vegas. In the Vegas market. And Comcast, the owner
oh,
of
I don't
NBC, is like,
yeah.
oh, we'd love to have a cheap RSN deal
I
in
don't know I don't know
Vegas.
how that's way
Who knows?
beyond.
Who
Yeah,
knows?
yeah,
Who knows? But like, but there's a lot of moving parts here. I think my summation of all of this is that
yeah.
this is good. This is good. It seems like the mayor's office has a plan that is possible that MLB could possibly agree to. What's also good is it seems that the mayor's office is confident that they have groups who would buy an expansion team. And, if it's possible that they could negotiate something. So it's still
I'm
there's
still
still
pretty
hope here.
cynical. I just think there's no
Yeah.
way in hell the
Yeah.
A's accept anything close to this deal. I mean, I think I almost the cynic in me almost thinks Oakland is doing pre-damage control because it's not going to work out. Like I don't know. I don't know what, but
Certainly,
yeah,
certainly the mayor's office wants to show that they're
I think this is like
doing
a
something.
public, this is kind of being like, hey,
Hey, we
this is
tried.
what we, this is, going into the deal. And I also, the fact that they said, we're not going to negotiate in public. And then they came out and did this, it just gives me this little pause like, shit, dude, are they just preparing for some sort of,
It's
this is going to blow up
it's
or they're
a
going to agree to something,
it's a great point,
with that
Alex.
expansion.
It's a great point, Alex. They said that they weren't going to negotiate in public, and now
Um,
they've leaked this.
I mean,
You might,
we're assuming that's where it came from. I mean, we're assuming. I mean, it's got to come. We're assuming it
well,
came from somebody an Oakland source, right? We
they
don't
picked,
know. We don't.
they
Yeah,
picked, they picked Casey Pratt, and they picked the ESPN reporter who's been
the
most
biggest
sympathetic.
national. Yeah, the biggest
Yeah, the
national
biggest
writer.
national reporter who's been most sympathetic to Oakland's plight here. So it almost certainly is the city of Oakland. So yeah, I think they could be leaking just because all of a sudden Major League Baseball stopped taking their calls. So they're like, well, we got to get it out to them somehow. Yeah,
I don't know.
it's not a great sign that they've leaked it, I think, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe they're leaking it because
Yeah,
they're
I don't
confident.
know. I don't know. I'm just so cynical about everything at this point. I just don't take anything at face value anymore. It just seems like all a cat and mouse game. So we'll
So,
see.
so I,
Yeah. Yeah.
I think in summation, don't be too excited, but also don't lose hope.
I think there's something is if they do negotiate, I think it's going to look nothing like maybe half of whatever, that 97 just seems exorbitant to me.
And
Demanding
I
the
think
colors
Ace
and an expansion, I mean, this is like a dream scenario. Like it just doesn't seem
I
real to me.
think I think A's fans would take $9 and an expansion team, you
And
know?
the
So
colors, you got to keep the A's colors. Yeah, that's important. That's important, dude.
Alex, I'm telling you, I'm telling you, I've been to a lot of Baltimore Ravens games, and there's a lot of people who are having a great time at Baltimore Ravens
Yeah.
games, and it's fine that they're not,
Well, that's because they have
they're
a
all wearing
well,
purple.
because they're the new Vegas, dude. But the people at the Cleveland Browns games are having a good time, aren't they?
They're also having a good time, but like whatever. I mean, they're both having a good time. They're
Yeah,
both
the
having much
Cleveland kept
more.
if they were the Cleveland Ravens, they wouldn't like that. That's what I'm saying. If
They're
they were the Baltimore
they're
Browns, it would
they're
be different.
enjoying themselves a lot more than Seattle Supersonics fans are. Alex,
Anyways, yeah,
let's
yeah.
try and wrap this up, but let's also really quickly talk about the boycott. So
Well,
quickly, the boycott. We were both there. I think we both agreed it was a lot of fun. Um, there was, there was 13. They announced 13,000 people. I don't think that there were 13,000 people in the stadium. I think there's probably more people in the stadium than were in the parking lot, but also
I think it was
13,000,
yeah, I think it was, yeah, pretty close. I don't know. Yeah.
also 13,000 is a lot lower than 28,000, which was what it was last year. I think my take is a lot of people got the message and they just stayed home.
Yeah.
They didn't want to hang out in a parking lot. The people who were in the parking lot were a lot of very young people who were ready to party, and some tailgate warriors who had, who love tailgating.
Yeah.
So, I think a lot of the average fan may have just stayed home, but you know, my take is we stole a bunch of money from John Fisher. I think without that, attendance probably would have been 18 or 19,000. So we stole a bunch of money from John Fisher. I love that. We had a lot of fun. I love that. Schools Over Stadiums raised about almost $45,000 that day, and they got it matched. So that's $90,000. And that will get them, I'm not sure it will get them all the way across the finish line with their lawsuit, but
Mhm.
that gets them a lot closer. They basically, I think in one night, I think that they almost doubled the amount of money that they've raised all time.
In
So
one day. Yeah,
that's
that's amazing.
huge in one
Yeah.
day. So that's huge. I mean, they won't have many more days like that again, but that's huge. It means that they're going to be sticking around. It means that they're going to keep suing Nevada. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. It was
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah, it was
What do
fun.
you
Like
what
I enjoyed it. One thing I honestly thought there was going to be more people there. I mean, I know that wasn't the thing. I know that wasn't. I mean, of course they wanted a huge. I think we had the 68s on before, and they were predicting maybe 20,000 people because there was 10,000 people at the Fans Fest. So I think expectations were so so high after that, and people were saying, "Oh, it's a bigger parking lot, it's a bigger event, and everything." But but also I think the Fans Fest, the weather was nice, right? Like it was during the day. Like this was like kind of cold and wet, and you're just kind of sitting in the park. You're standing in the parking lot. Like I was hurting. I know my legs were hurting by the time I got home. I was just standing up, so it was a little different. But 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 I think as long as it held that, it just had that Coliseum tailgate vibe. Like you just smell the blunts, you smell the hot dogs, like it
Yeah.
was just a classic. It was fun. It's like everybody is on the same page. And it's yeah, like you're baseball fans, but it's also like people are there because of their families and their friends. It was more than just the team. It's like this community. It was like they were actually there just celebrating each other, which I thought was really cool, you know.
Yeah, I hope, I kind of hope maybe there's another reverse boycott. It'll be impossible to ever recreate June 13th of last year. So maybe I don't. But this was a lot of fun. Uh, and the money that was raised was really important. It was a huge amount of money. Um, and the fact that we're back in the news again, that's also important. And frankly, the amount of money being raised was also in the news. So people understand that organization is still occurring.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna have to keep looking to Last Dive Bar and the 68s for guidance on how to keep fighting. Um, it, I don't know what the most effective way to support City Hall is on this, but you know, maybe we'll
Sure,
hear
you
from City Hall.
Go Shane, go.
Go, Shane,
Negotiate a
go.
good
Go,
deal.
Shane, go. Go,
Like
Shane,
just show up on
go, Shane,
Tuesday,
yeah.
bring the
Yeah.
drums, bring the drums out to City Hall on Tuesday. I don't know.
Yeah. Tell us where yeah, find,
You
if they
gotta
could
find out
leak
where they're
which,
meeting.
if they could leak which La Quinta Inn that they're meeting at.
We just bring a drone with a sign, just bring it up to the wall, like, that's sign the deal. No, I don't
So,
know.
so,
Give him an extension. But yeah, it
I,
was really fun. Like yeah, I don't it's just weird knowing that like this could be who knows when all these people are going to be back together again. As far as I know, there's nothing super concrete organized. I know there's this luau in Stockton on May 3rd, but it's just not the same. Like if you do an event like this at the Roots, or if you do like a big thing at the Roots game in Cal State Hayward, it's not going to get the same amount of attention if you do it at the A's game.
yeah,
I mean,
I think that's right.
I mean, attendance is going to be a huge thing. Like I wrote for the Associated Press the next day, and my editor was like, "Make sure you get the attendance up there in the first four paragraphs." Like,
Mhm.
so like, like the attendance. And I asked Vote about it after the game too. He's like, "Oh, I don't want. I feel for the A's fans, but it's like once we get on the field, it's just focused on us." But I was like, "Dude, you had less than 4,000 people there for a big league game, second game of the year, fourth less than it was. I think the
Yeah,
announced crowd was 38, 37. I mean, it was like a perfect storm. It was, I mean, it was a Friday, which you would think maybe a little more, but it was cold, rainy. The Guardians were in town,
that's
and
that's
it's
bad for a Friday though. That's
yeah,
bad for
it's really
Friday. I
bad. I
mean,
mean, 38, 37. Like, yeah, if it was
I
like
mean,
a
it's
Tuesday
just
or a Wednesday, but
I mean, we also like are like losing our minds here. Like most even in April, you know, even in April on a Tuesday, most MLB teams are getting 15 or
15 to 20.
17,
But and then here, that's
20.
like, holy shit, this is a big crowd. Like, it's like we've just been conditioned now to,
Nobody wants to go, and that's going to be another part of that's hard to organize, is that even though A's fans are super passionate, like a lot of them have checked out. A lot of them, it's complicated, and this everyone sort of knows the chances are still slim, and nobody likes continuing to
no, I
lose.
have a lot of friends who were casual. Like, we would go, like, a few years ago, we'd be like, yeah, let's go. But now they're like, who? Like, I went to a game with, yeah, a couple of days, the Giants A's preseason game with a friend. And he's like, dude, I literally don't know anybody on the team anymore. And it's just
Yeah,
like, you stop following for 2 years and you don't know anything anymore.
nobody knows anybody. Yeah. So,
Yeah. But it
I
was
don't
great
know.
to see
We'll
people.
find out.
Like I really loved the honking on the horn moment. I thought that was great.
That was
The
fun.
band was fun. But it was very communal. Like people were just sharing. Like shout out to Todd for giving us some delicious tri-tip sandwiches. He had a bunch of tri-tip for everybody.
Mhm.
But I don't know, people just handing out beers, and it was just like a classic tailgate, and it lasted. I mean, I think I got there at one. We got there around 1:15, and we left around 11:30. So it was like 10 hours of tailgating. So yeah.
Great, man. I really hope, if it has to go to the bars, it has, that's great. If it has to go to the Roots, that's great. If it has to go to the Stockton Ports, it's great. But
Got to go somewhere.
maybe there's a chance. There's a chance, and the fact that we basically got schools over stadiums $90,000 keeps them in the mix. Keeps them in the mix. It keeps that iron in the fire. It keeps the fact that the mayor's office is going to go in on Tuesday and have these demands, which include a route to an expansion team, keeps that in the mix. So there's a lot of different
And then
opportunities.
also April 9th, I mean, that's another date, important date coming up. So I know April 2nd is, so
Yeah,
Tuesday is the city of Oakland and the A's meeting. Then April 9th, schools over stadiums will have their appeal heard by the Nevada State Supreme Court
yep.
as they, try to get this referendum on the ballot in November. But, t time's running out because they need all those signatures by June 28th, I believe he said. So,
Yeah, I mean, they're
um,
going to just need an amount of money that I'm not confident they'll be able to
well, that's what I'm
get.
thinking. Like you said, they
Unless
had enough
there's,
money for kind of litigation. So I'm thinking
yeah,
maybe if April 9th they get some good news, they would probably have to do another fundraising drive again for the
another
referendum.
fundraising drive. And I think that will depend on some rich A's fan in Oakland stepping up. So
Well,
we'll have to see
that
about
guy
that.
still has 55K in the bank, I guess, right? He's be willing to sell, right? I mean,
I
he
bet
only
he has
matched 45.
I bet he has more than that, Alex. I bet he has
Hey,
more
maybe he
than
can give
that.
the 55K remaining to the Ricky blog, and then that's all we need, dude. So
That's all we need
yeah.
to. I'm not
Well,
really sure what we'd do with it, but we'd have
hey,
fun time.
well, super A's fan, mystery A's fan, if you're listening, I hope you consider donating to the pod. That'd be great. All right,
All
Hal.
right.
Well, it was great to see you. Enjoy the East Coast, and yeah, we are in baseball season, dude. It's almost April. No, the A's are
Yeah, I mean,
they're actually playing right
who
now. I wonder if they're on their way to getting swept out of the 4 game series to start
yeah,
the
let's
season.
wait,
So
hold on. Let's give a
let's give a
live
live update.
pod
It's yeah, we're probably like in the
update.
second or third inning, right? Something like that.
The
What are we at?
score currently is Oakland 2, Cleveland nothing, bottom of the first.
Wow, it's their second.
One out
Wow,
still,
it's their
guy.
second time all year having a lead. Impressive. All right.
All right, yeah. All right.
All
I'm sure that I'm sure you listening to this now will know that they blew that lead and lost 14 to
right.
6. All right.
All right, Hal. Take it easy, dude. See ya.
See you guys. Bye.